Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Once risks have been identified and documented, the next step is to analyze them. Risk analysis helps an organization understand how serious each risk is, both in terms of likelihood and impact, so that the right response can be planned. In this episode, we will explore the two primary methods used to analyze risk: qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. Each method offers its own strengths, and both are critical for effective risk management and decision-making. Let's begin with qualitative risk analysis. This method relies on descriptive evaluation rather than strict numbers. In a qualitative assessment, risks are ranked based on characteristics such as likelihood, severity, and potential disruption. These ratings are typically expressed in terms such as low, medium, or high. The result is a prioritized list of risks that allows decision-makers to focus on the most concerning issues. Qualitative analysis is useful when precise data is unavailable or when the focus is on speed and simplicity. It relies heavily on expert judgment, interviews, and structured discussions. Stakeholders from different departments weigh in on how likely a risk is to occur and what the impact would be if it did. Often, risks are plotted on a risk matrix, with one axis for probability and another for impact. This visual tool helps teams quickly identify which risks fall into the red zone, those requiring urgent action. One strength of qualitative analysis is that it captures human insight and contextual understanding. For example, two risks may appear similar on paper, but someone with deep knowledge of the business process may recognize that one is far more disruptive in practice. Qualitative methods allow that insight to shape the analysis. Let's look at a real-world example. A regional hospital is evaluating its top cybersecurity risks. Using a qualitative approach, they gather department heads, clinical staff, and information technology personnel to discuss threats. They identify ransomware, accidental data exposure, and insider misuse as top concerns. Ransomware is rated as high probability and high impact, placing it at the top of the response plan. Accidental exposure is rated medium probability and medium impact. Insider misuse is seen as low probability but high impact. These judgments help the leadership prioritize investments in backup systems, user awareness training, and enhanced monitoring. Even without precise dollar amounts, the hospital is able to make smart, focused decisions based on expert opinion and practical experience. Qualitative analysis is also useful for organizations with limited resources. Smaller businesses may not have access to actuarial data or large volumes of historical loss data. For them, qualitative analysis offers a practical, lightweight way to assess risk and take action. Now let's turn to quantitative risk analysis. This method relies on numbers, formulas, and measurable outcomes. The goal of quantitative analysis is to calculate the financial impact of a risk in concrete terms. This often involves the use of two key metrics: Single Loss Expectancy and Annualized Loss Expectancy. Single Loss Expectancy represents the expected cost of a single occurrence of a specific risk. It is calculated by multiplying the asset value by the exposure factor. The exposure factor is the percentage of the asset that would be lost if the risk event occurred. For example, if an organization owns a server worth $20,000 and a flood would destroy 80% of its value, the single loss expectancy is $16,000. Annualized loss expectancy builds on that concept. It estimates the total yearly cost of a risk based on how often it is expected to occur. This is calculated by multiplying the single loss expectancy by the annualized rate of occurrence. Continuing with the example, if the flood is expected to happen once every 20 years, the annualized rate of occurrence is 0.05. Multiply that by the $16,000 single loss expectancy, and the annualized loss expectancy is $800. That number becomes a useful benchmark when deciding whether to invest in flood protection or relocate equipment. Quantitative analysis provides hard numbers that support budgeting and cost-benefit decisions. For example, if the annualized loss expectancy for a data breach is $50,000 and a new security tool costs $20,000 per year, the organization can justify the investment using a financial argument. Quantitative methods help bridge the gap between technical risk and executive decision-making. Let's walk through a practical scenario. A software development company is evaluating whether to implement a secure code scanning tool. The company estimates that a single code injection vulnerability could result in a data breach costing $150,000. Based on past experience, they believe such a breach could occur once every 5 years. That makes the annualized rate of occurrence 0.2. Multiply that by the single loss expectancy of $150,000, and the annualized loss expectancy is $30,000. The scanning tool costs $15,000 per year. Since the expected loss is twice the cost of the tool, the company decides to invest in it. This is a clear example of quantitative analysis driving a business decision. Another benefit of quantitative analysis is that it allows for comparison across risk types. A business can weigh the financial impact of data loss, downtime, regulatory fines, and reputational damage using the same framework. This makes it easier to build a unified risk response strategy and prioritize budget requests. However, quantitative analysis is only as accurate as the data it uses. If the estimates for frequency or impact are wrong, the results can be misleading. Also, some risks are difficult to quantify, especially those involving reputation, customer trust, or employee morale. That is why most organizations use a combination of qualitative and quantitative methods. The numbers provide rigor while expert judgment adds depth and context. As you prepare for the Security Plus exam, be sure you understand the formulas for single loss expectancy and annualized loss expectancy. You may be asked to perform simple calculations using these formulas or to interpret their results in a scenario. Also, be ready to compare qualitative and quantitative methods and identify when each is appropriate. Here is a quick study tip. If the question emphasizes subjective ratings like high, medium, or low, or refers to team discussions or stakeholder input, the answer is probably qualitative analysis. If the question includes numerical data, such as dollar amounts, probabilities, or specific formulas, it is almost certainly referring to quantitative analysis. Watch for those signals in the question text. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.